Good morning, students. So today we're going to be focusing on two things. First thing we're going to do is we're going to focus on our immigration posters. We won't be doing any work on the immigration posters, but what we're going to be doing is assessing them. So what you want to do is go onto Canvas, and on Canvas you're going to access the Immigration Trends assignment, as you see here. Once you've done that, you're going to click on these two links, so the form and the presentation. That will open up. This is the form and this is the presentation. The objective is here is for you to assess somebody else's presentation. So you're going to fill out the basic information here. Right here where it says your nation, what you're going to do is you're going to put down the nation that you researched, the poster that you made. Right here, you're going to select from the list on the presentation. So that list is right here. You choose any one of these, but please do not do one that you've already done. And I would highly suggest that you put it in presentation mode. When you put something in presentation mode, that allows you to see it much easier. So the first question here is the years of largest immigration. So let's say I was doing this right here, and once again I have to put it in presentation mode. So once I've done that, I want to find what year was the largest immigration for this particular country here. And if there's multiple years, then I'd write them down. So looking at the graph here, each one of these posters should have a graph that shows that. So you want to use that information to do so. Next thing is you want to document the reason that that immigrant group came to the United States. And that should be on the presentation as well. Third, you're going to put down the obstacles faced by immigrant groups once they arrived. So each immigrant group faced all different types of obstacles, whether they were language, whether there were discrimination, whatever it is for that particular country you want to document. Then you are going to write down any famous person or people from this particular region and what are they known for. That once again is found on the poster. Finally, thinking about the Germans and Irish that came over in the 1800s, the Germans who came over for seeking freedom from civil wars and violence in their country, and the Irish seeking relief from the potato famine and poverty, you want to take a look at what you've previously written here and how are these groups different and how are they the same? And you want to document that. Once you are done with this, the next step is we're going to look at the themes of slavery. So there are 4 themes of slavery. The 4 themes are lack of freedom, dehumanization, violence, lack of family relationships. These are the 4 themes that you're going to be documenting today, actually looking at documents and watching a video. But let's take a look at what these mean. So if I examine lack of freedom, in this picture, it's obvious that slaves don't have freedom because they're chained. But we're not just talking about being chained. What we're talking about is the lack of freedom, in other words, being unable to travel back and forth freely. Typically, when a slave, if they were to travel anywhere, they had to have a pass, much like what you guys have to have when you go to the bathroom. You have somebody off on it. So the pass might include the date, the name of the slave, where they are going, and when they should be back. Most slaves were not allowed to travel after dark. If they were caught without a pass, then there would be severe consequences such as whipping. Secondly, we go to the dehumanization aspect. So think about slaves. They're not treated as humans. They're used as property. So selling a slave is an example of dehumanization. Just the general treatment, the way owners would talk to slaves or talk about slaves. Slaves would always have to answer up to the owners. They can never be considered equal at any point. And if a slave did refer to themselves as equal to the owner, then there was also severe consequences as that. Think about how slaves were treated as they were shipped from Africa to the various colonies, that it was very inhumane. And of course, the auctions. Auctions themselves are examples of dehumanization in the highest form, where slaves were sold as property. Third theme, violence. This is something that you're probably aware of, the whippings. But violence not only was whippings, it could come in lots of other forms. Slaves who ran away were also obviously whipped, but they could also lose their fingers and toes, and even worse. If you were a female slave, there was always the chance that you might be sexually violated or raped, which in itself is a form of violence. And this happened more often than not because female slaves didn't have any rights. So if they were violated, there was no place for them to go, as you're going to find out in the movie today that you're going to watch. Women had no rights whatsoever. Finally, the lack of family relationships. When slaves are sold off, families are being broken up. So when we have lack of family relationships, families are being broken up, and it could be from little children, it could be the parents of the children, it could be the father of the children. Typically, most slaves' relationships, there wasn't a marriage, but it was very common for people to be broken up and sold on multiple occasions. So once again, this shows the lack of family relationships. So now that we've done that, you're going to be watching the video right here. Okay. Slavery in the Making of America. So what I'd like you to do is go back to the modules. From the module, you're now going to access this right here, the themes of slavery. Once you click on that, it's going to take you to open this up here. And what you need to do is click on the note-taking document. From this note-taking document, you're going to access the 4 themes of slavery, and you want to go to the last page, Harriet Jacobs. And from here, you're going to document as you watch the movie for the next 22 minutes about the different examples that show the lack of freedom, violence, dehumanization, or the lack of family relationships. And then you're going to analyze it here. Once you are done with that, the last thing you're going to begin to do is you'll go back here, and you're actually going to use these documents to document any evidence of those 4 themes, whether you use these here or you click on the link here, which will open up these documents. There's 20 pages of documents here. You choose which ones you want to that exemplify the use of any one of those themes. And that's your assignment for today.